All right. So, everybody wants to improve their lives, right?
Yeah.
We're always looking for tips and advice. And so we found this podcast episode.
Okay.
It's called How to Improve Your Life.
Okay.
15 life-changing tips.
Wow, 15.
15 is a lot, though, to go through. So
Yeah.
we thought we would just focus on the most intriguing ones.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, and try to really do a deep dive into those and see if we can't, unearth some of the wisdom there.
It's easy to dismiss those kinds of lists, as like generic advice. But
Right.
I think if you dig a little deeper, there's often a solid reason why that advice is given.
Yeah.
So let's figure out which of these tips might actually work for you.
Yeah, okay. So the first one that really caught my eye was waking up early.
Okay.
They talk about how a lot of successful people have this habit.
Right.
And they use this imagery in the episode about,
Yeah.
instead of rushing out the door,
Yeah.
you have time to sit and think and have a cup of coffee, and just sort of start your day in a calm way.
But think about it. What could you accomplish with an extra hour in the morning?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned wanting to write more. Imagine having a solid hour of focused writing time
Right.
before anyone else in your house even wakes up.
Right.
That could be a game changer.
Yeah.
And it's not just anecdotal evidence, there's actually science behind it.
Well.
Our bodies operate on what are called circadian rhythms, and our cortisol levels, that's the stress hormone, are typically higher in the morning.
Oh, so you're saying that waking up earlier could actually help me feel less stressed?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the opposite.
Yeah. It's really about aligning yourself with your body's natural energy flow.
Okay.
Waking up earlier could actually help you feel like you're in the driver's seat of your day instead of constantly playing catch up.
I'm starting to see the light here.
Good.
Okay, so this next tip is something I'm sure we can all relate to.
Okay.
It's getting more exercise. And the episode really emphasizes the importance of moving every day, not just for physical benefits, but also for mental clarity and energy.
It doesn't have to be about running marathons or anything like that.
Right.
Even small amounts of movement can make a big difference.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on incorporating more movement into your routine?
I actually like the idea of sneaking it in.
Sneaking it in.
Yeah, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Or walking during phone calls.
Right.
It just feels less intimidating than committing to like a full-blown workout.
Right, exactly. It's about finding what works for you.
Right.
Making it sustainable.
Yeah.
Do you remember that study we talked about where people who took a short walk before a brainstorming session came up with way more creative ideas?
Yeah, it's like getting those creative juices flowing.
Exactly.
Okay, so enough sitting here talking. Let's move on to the next tip.
Okay.
Which is about the power of reading.
Okay.
The episode mentions people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, who are huge advocates for reading. And they argue that expanding your knowledge can open up new opportunities.
I mean, reading doesn't have to just be traditional books. It can be audiobooks, podcasts, like the one we're discussing now.
Right.
Or even just high-quality articles online.
Okay.
I think it's more about cultivating a sense of curiosity and making learning a regular part of your life.
Yeah.
You remember that extra hour we talked about in the morning?
Yeah.
Imagine dedicating even a small portion of that to reading something that interests you.
It's like a little brain food to start the day.
Exactly. And it can be something you enjoy, not just something you feel like you should be reading.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so next up is a concept that always seems to come up in these self-improvement conversations.
Okay.
It's gratitude. The episode suggests shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have.
Okay.
Maybe even like writing down 3 things you're grateful for each morning. I have to admit, the first time I tried that, I was grateful for coffee, chocolate, and more coffee. But
it takes a little bit of practice.
Yeah.
But there's actually a strong psychological basis for this.
Really?
When we practice gratitude, we're essentially rewiring our brains.
Okay.
Studies show that it can reduce stress hormones and increase feelings of happiness and well-being.
So it's not just like a woo-woo feel-good thing.
No.
There's actual science behind it.
Absolutely. Even small moments of appreciation can have a big impact over time.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, let's talk about the company you keep.
Okay.
You know that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Ooh, yeah, that one always makes me stop and think.
Right. It encourages us to be mindful of the energy that we're surrounded by.
Okay.
Are the people you're closest to lifting you up?
Yeah.
Or are they dragging you down?
I get the positive people thing, but isn't there value in like learning how to deal with difficult personalities too.
Sure.
Like, we can't just cut everyone out of our lives who isn't sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not about being judgmental or cutting people off.
Right.
But it is about being aware of whose energy influences you the most.
Okay.
Are they supportive of your goals, or do they tend to undermine your efforts?
That's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next tip.
Okay.
Stepping outside of your comfort zone. The episode really emphasizes this as a key for growth.
Right.
And they suggest things like learning a new skill or even just talking to new people.
What's one small step you could take today to challenge yourself?
Okay.
Something that pushes you just a little bit outside of that comfort zone.
Well, I've been wanting to try that new pottery class,
Oh, yeah.
but I keep putting it off.
Okay.
Maybe this is the push I need.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not about being reckless, but it's about recognizing when fear is holding you back.
Right.
And remember, each time you push yourself, you expand your comfort zone and you build confidence.
Okay. Yeah, that's good stuff. Welcome back. We're in the middle of our deep dive here into these 15 life-changing tips,
Yeah.
and I'm already feeling inspired.
Good.
Okay, so let's jump right into the next one.
Okay.
It's all about setting goals.
Oh.
You know, having a clear vision for the future.
All right.
The episode talks about the power of setting smart goals.
You know, a lot of people think about goal setting as this rigid, restrictive thing,
Right.
but it can actually be quite liberating.
Oh, okay.
Think of your goals as like a compass.
Okay.
Without them, it's easy to feel lost or like you're just drifting through life.
I've definitely felt that drift before.
Yeah.
So how can we make sure that our goals are actually motivating us and not just like stressing us out?
Well, I think it starts with setting goals that genuinely resonate with your values and aspirations.
Okay.
What are the things that truly light you up? What do you want to achieve, not because you should, but because you truly desire it?
That's a good question. You know, it's easy to get caught up in what we think we should be doing
Right.
instead of what really matters to us.
Exactly. And remember, setting the goal is just the first step.
Okay.
You also need to break it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Right.
If you try to tackle everything at once, it can feel really overwhelming.
It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And don't forget to celebrate those milestones along the way.
Okay.
Even small victories can keep you motivated and help you build momentum.
Speaking of celebrating, this next tip might seem counterintuitive.
Okay.
It's about learning from your mistakes.
Okay.
You know, the episode encourages us to view setbacks as opportunities for growth
Right.
instead of like dwelling on failures. I have to admit, I really struggle with this one.
Yeah.
I tend to beat myself up when I mess up.
It's a common tendency, but imagine if we spoke to our friends the way we sometimes speak to ourselves.
Oh gosh.
They'd probably ditch us.
Yeah, that's true.
So how can we shift our perspective and be a little bit kinder to ourselves
Right.
when things don't go as planned?
Yeah.
Well, instead of seeing mistakes as something to be ashamed of,
Okay.
try reframing them as valuable lessons.
Okay.
Every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes altogether,
Right.
but about how we choose to respond to them.
Precisely. And remember, everyone makes mistakes. It's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
The key is to extract the wisdom from those experiences
Right.
and use them to inform our future actions.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
Okay, now this next tip is one I need to hear.
Okay.
Learning to say no more often.
Ah.
I am such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I find myself overcommitted and stressed out all the time.
This one can be tough, especially for those of us who naturally want to help others.
Right.
But setting boundaries is essential.
Yeah.
It's essential for protecting our time and energy.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first
Exactly.
before assisting others.
Right when we constantly say yes to every request,
Yeah.
we risk burnout and resentment.
I think it can even lead to us not showing up fully for the things that we do commit to.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Saying no isn't selfish.
Right.
It's actually an act of self-care.
Okay.
It allows us to show up more authentically and energetically
Right.
for the things that truly align with our values and goals.
I like that.
All right.
Okay, and finally for part 2, let's talk about self-reflection.
Okay.
This episode really emphasizes the importance of taking time to evaluate our progress, celebrate our achievements, and identify areas for improvement.
Self-reflection is such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
It allows us to create space for introspection and self-awareness.
Right.
which helps us understand our motivations, our values, and desires more deeply.
Yeah, I can see how that would tie back to setting those meaningful goals
Exactly.
that we talked about earlier.
And it's not just about focusing on what we haven't accomplished yet. It's also about acknowledging how far we've come and celebrating those wins, big and small.
Okay. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up our exploration of these 15 life-changing tips. And, you know, I have to say, I'm already feeling inspired.
That's good.
To put some of these ideas into action.
Sometimes all it takes is just a little shift in perspective to create those big changes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into the last 4 tips here.
Okay.
Starting with number 12. Be kind to yourself.
Okay.
You know, the episode really emphasizes the importance of self-compassion.
Right.
You know, treating yourself with the same kindness that you would offer a close friend.
Yeah, think about it this way. If we talk to our friends, the way we sometimes berate ourselves, they wouldn't stick around very long.
Oh, that's so true. Why are we so much harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else?
It's often a result of societal conditioning or past experiences.
Yeah.
But the good news is that we can learn to challenge those negative self-talk patterns and cultivate a more supportive inner voice.
So it's about recognizing that we're all works in progress.
Yeah.
Imperfections and all.
Exactly. It doesn't mean lowering our standards or becoming complacent.
Right.
But it does mean acknowledging our humanity while still striving to grow.
Okay, on to tip number 13, giving back to your community.
Okay.
The episode highlights the importance of contributing to something bigger than ourselves, whether it's volunteering, donating to a cause we care about, or even just being a good neighbor.
You know, have you ever noticed how good it feels to help someone else?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about the impact we have on others.
Right.
There's actually a scientific link.
Oh, wow.
Between helping others and experiencing greater happiness ourselves.
I've definitely felt that it's like a warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you do something nice for someone, even if it's just a small thing.
And it doesn't have to be this grand gesture. Every act of kindness makes a difference. Whether it's donating a few dollars to a charity, or helping a friend in need, or even just offering a smile to a stranger.
I'm ready for the next one. What's number 14?
Number 14 is celebrate your wins.
Oh.
It sounds simple, but we often forget to acknowledge our accomplishments.
Oh, I am so guilty of that.
Yeah.
I tend to just jump right into the next goal.
Right.
Without pausing to appreciate how far I've come.
It's like we're on this constant treadmill, always striving for the next thing.
Yeah.
But taking the time to celebrate those milestones, even the small ones, can help us stay motivated and maintain momentum.
So how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
What does celebrating our wins actually look like?
It can be anything that feels meaningful to you.
Okay.
It could be sharing the good news with a friend, taking yourself out for a nice meal, or even just taking a few moments to reflect on your accomplishment.
Yeah.
And just let that feeling of pride sink in.
I love it. Okay, bring on the final tip.
The last one is a powerful one, never stop learning.
Okay.
This is all about cultivating a growth mindset and embracing lifelong learning.
Yeah, especially in today's world, things are changing so rapidly.
Right.
It feels like you have to constantly be learning and adapting just to keep up.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that learning isn't limited to formal education.
Right.
It can happen anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
Through books, podcasts, conversations.
Yeah.
Even just by observing the world around us with a curious mind.
So it's less about specific knowledge and more about staying curious.
Yeah.
And open to new ideas and experiences.
Exactly. When we approach life with a beginner's mind, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
Right.
And who knows what amazing things we might discover along the way.
Well, there you have it. 15 tips for improving your life.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
And I'm walking away with a lot to think about.
I am too. Remember, it's not about trying to do everything at once.
Right.
Just pick 1 or 2 tips that resonate with you. And start small, focus on building sustainable habits. Be patient with yourself. And most importantly, enjoy the journey.
I think that's the perfect note to end on.
Good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.